Dave here with Limitless Brave. Today we're going to talk about a very serious issue, and that is the rise of male suicide. I have lost a family member to suicide and 2 friends to suicide, all 3 male. How do men get to this place? What can we do to try to prevent it or get people help that need it? And what are the stats current day on the suicide rate? Guys, if you don't know who I am, I'm Dave of Limitless Brave. I've been a men's mentor for 16 years as my full-time career, helping men through their dating journey, through their careers, through running their businesses, making money, and just living an amazing lifestyle. So let's get into the stats of suicide. Men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide than women. And on a global scale, it's the number 2 cause of death, ages 15 to 29. So while the overall rate has been climbing, within that rate, there's a very specific segment that is at a 40% increase for their age, and that's age 45 to 62. Middle-aged men are 40% more likely to commit suicide on that whole statistical scale. First, I want to say, and this is just speculation because this topic is extremely complex. There's a lot of variables involved. There's a lot of brain chemistry, biology, trauma, all types of things that go into a man or anyone committing suicide. So I personally believe that the reason more men are doing this as opposed to women is that men haven't been taught to properly deal with their emotions, to get the help that they need, to understand that trauma is a very real thing that affects them. And I feel women naturally have a much better capability to process emotion, deal with emotion, express emotion, as opposed to men, because we're not taught to do that. We're not encouraged to do that. We're not taught to go get help, to talk about what's going on, to say this experience and that experience really fucked with my head. I mean, just look at all of our military that have committed suicide due to the VA's inability to get men the help that they need coming back from combat. If you can't express your emotions, if you can't even recognize that you've experienced a traumatic event, then it's really hard for you to ask for help. It's really hard for you to admit that, hey, there's something going on with me and I need some help. And in the veterans community, I've seen a lot more outreach. I've seen a lot more men checking on each other to make sure that their brothers are good. And this is a wonderful thing. And there are a lot of programs out there helping our vets, which is fantastic. And I've worked with a lot of vets, and it's a really rewarding thing to be able to help those guys out through all types of things, traumas, getting their lives together, taking a new direction in life, etc. So I want to say this to the guys listening. Guys, if you feel like there's something off and you can't define it, you don't know exactly what it is, that's okay. That's a starting point. Go to a therapist, come work with me, work with other mentors or coaches, join men's groups. Just open your mouth and say something to your buddy, to somebody you trust, maybe your pastor, maybe a mentor of yours, whatever it may be. Just the only thing you have to do is say, hey, there's something off. I don't feel right. Something's bothering me. And that begins the dialogue. And that's the only thing you have to say. Anybody that cares deeply about you is going to have follow-up questions. They don't expect you to know exactly what's wrong. And they may not even know the type of questions to ask to get you to contemplate and look in the deeper recesses of your mind and past as to what could have happened. So at least that's a start. At least you opened your mouth and said, hey, I think I need some help. I think there's something wrong. And that is the staple of a very strong, very capable man, even though we've been told our whole lives that it's weakness, that we should just suck it up and go on with life. It's bullshit, guys. Get the help that you need. Open your mouth, even if you don't know what's wrong, even if you can't define it. That's what professionals are for. Now, I am not a board certified psychiatrist. I am simply a mentor. I have a lot of skill set. I've had a lot of results in my life with clients, but I definitely am not a board certified professional. So if that's what you need, by all means, absolutely go get that and work with that with whoever is there for you. But if you want to come work with me, love to work with you, work through the shadow, work through any kind of past traumas, whatever it is that's holding you back, and you think I can help you with, love to do that for you. But it all starts with you guys just opening your mouth, starting the conversation, right? You know, think about if you're going on a hike, or you guys in the military, you're going on a ruck. Well, the whole thing starts with one step, right? That's all you have to do. You know, maybe you're building a business. Maybe you've got a career of where you want to get to the kind of the golden parachute, right? At the end of the day, it all starts with a step in that direction. And your healing, your mental health, your well-being to live that life starts with one word out of your mouth or one phrase out of your mouth. And that is, I think something's wrong. That's it. That's all you need to say, guys. And people are going to help you 100%. Even if it feels like there's nobody out there, nobody cares, or it feels like nobody cares. Keep searching. You will find the right person to help you. I promise you that. If you don't give up, you're never going to fail. So one of the things I'm able to help men with is give them words and phrases and concepts to latch onto to help them express what it is that they're feeling. Because a lot of men don't know what they feel. Even a lot of women don't even know what they feel. And if you have verbiage to go along with what it is that you think you're feeling, well, now it becomes something more real, more tangible, more manageable. It's a thing. It's not just this mystery feeling. So I help guys assign a lot of verbiage to the way they feel. We do a lot of trauma release therapy, a lot of mindset reframing, things like that. So guys have brought some pretty heavy duty stuff into sessions and into workshops, and we've gotten through it. Especially the guys in the military. Worked with some heavy duty stuff with those guys, and we've gotten through it. A lot of men, here's another big thing that I've encountered with a lot of men. A lot of men have been either sexually abused or molested, and those guys are very ashamed to bring that up. But guys, I promise you, it's more common than not. It's just unbelievable what I've run into with men, and they've just been holding on to this for a very long time, and it's affected their adult life, their performance, their career, their lifestyle, everything. But as soon as we get in there, we start working on those fears, those traumas, the past events, it all starts to slowly drift away, and you create new coping mechanisms, new ways of reframing the trauma or past experiences that you've been through, and it allows you to have so much more control over the way you feel versus if you didn't do anything. And I do want to say that there are guys that have biological, chemical issues in their body that it wouldn't matter how much work I did with them, it really wouldn't change. And I don't do work on a psychiatric level that deep that I could really do anything. So if you've got that going on, guys, like, please go see a psychiatrist, psychologist, a professional that can manage all of that for you, because that is definitely not a specialty that I have. So how do we identify if somebody is potentially suicidal? This is a sensitive subject, and it's difficult to approach, but I think you'd rather approach somebody and say, hey man, are you doing okay? Than wake up the next day and have them be gone because you didn't say anything. And that's a very real experience that a lot of people that have survived a suicide deal with. I should have said something. I could have said something, but we're afraid to offend somebody else. I personally would rather offend you, checking on you, making sure that you're okay, than wake up the next day and say, oh shit, I didn't know it was that bad. I could have said something yesterday. So we don't want to do that. I'd rather make somebody upset or feel uncomfortable than I would wake up the next day and have them not be there. So this is from the National Suicide Hotline, how to recognize warning signs, okay? People will be talking about feeling trapped, hopeless, or having no purpose. Increased in alcohol or drug abuse, pretty common. Sudden mood changes, personality shifts, withdrawal from society, friends, social events, things like that. Here's another one that I've seen this in the action sports world, unfortunately, because I come from that world. Guys taking really unusual high risk risks in their sports to ultimately try to end their life. And giving away prized possessions, making final arrangements behind the scenes, not telling anybody about it, talking about death or even suicide. And now that's from the National Suicide Hotline. So another interesting thing that I've found out, there's a gentleman on TikTok who survived his wife's suicide and his father's suicide. And he talks about all the characteristics of suicide. I can't remember his handle, or I'd put it on here. But one of the things he said that was very confusing for him is that his wife was extremely happy before she committed suicide, as well as his father. So that's not something that, the National Suicide Hotline puts in any of their literature that I'm aware of, or at least that I found. But I've heard this from several people who have been survivors of somebody committing suicide. They said, oh, well, they were just really, really happy. I would have never expected it then. So very interesting, something that you want to keep an eye on with people. So how does someone arrive at the place where they want to take their own life? I mean, there's chemical reasons, there's biological reasons why this stuff happens. But, from my perspective and what I've seen, a lot of it is a man's inability to manage, express, and work on his emotions, as well as his traumas. All of that feels extremely overwhelming to us as men when emotions get involved, because we're not very emotional. We have to go out and do the dirty work, right? We're the fighters. We're the ones that are running into the burning building. We're the ones that are risking our lives. So when it comes to that type of work and what we're kind of naturally drawn to do, emotion in those games or careers or whatever, war will get you killed. And ultimately on the back end, if you don't address what's going on in those traumatic types of careers and jobs, you're going to get killed anyway, because you're going to take your own life because you haven't handled what you need to handle. So if you're feeling overwhelmed emotionally, you're feeling like I can't take any more of this, and you just want to numb out, that's the time that you need to speak up. That's the time you need to go get some help. That's the time you need to reach out to family or friends, because now you're gone into emotional overwhelm. Nervous system is going to shut down. You're going to get numbed out. You're going to want to drink or do drugs to numb out. And because we as guys are not good at handling our emotions, we don't have any other choice. And it becomes so overwhelming that killing ourselves is a better option than feeling the pain that we've been in for years, decades. But that pain can be resolved with a lot of work. And unfortunately, I think sometimes it can't. I've seen that unfortunate situation as well, where somebody has really tried, but ultimately end up taking their life. So guys, please, I beg you, families, friends, Keep an eye on your guys, check in on them, make sure they're okay. Even if they say they're okay, question them. Make sure that they truly are. And always let them know that you are there to listen without judgment. Because one of the biggest fears that I've run into with men when it comes to expressing trauma, emotional pain, is the fear of being judged. Because if he expresses that, somebody could attack him. He's emotionally vulnerable and weak at that point. And the fear of expressing makes us feel vulnerable, so we don't want to. So please, if you need help, go to people that you trust. If you're a family or friend looking out for somebody else, please do not judge in any way, shape, or form. Support, help in any way you can. Because one of the biggest fears for men is to be emotionally vulnerable and be judged for it. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a heavy topic to talk about, but we can't have any more of our fine men taking their lives because they don't have the tools, they don't have the coping mechanisms, they don't have the understanding, the verbiage to express the way they should be able to express and get the help that they need. So if you're looking for an online community of men to join that are very supportive, you can click in the description below, my Limitless Brave private reserve community. If you want to come and take a workshop with me, I've got the workshops listed below. You can also check out my website if you like. I'm just an email away. Shoot me an email if you got any questions about workshops or working with me. I love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Reach out, get help if you need it. And I'll see you in the next video.